What is good people? What is good people? Let me let everybody know we are live right now. Everybody come on into the room. Come on into the room. My name is JeffLightsyJr. here with the Black Boss channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button as you come into the room. Like, share, and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, share it with your good friends over on Facebook because we have a lot to talk about today. Shout out where you're from and what school you're representing, where you're from, what city you're from, and what school you're representing. Let's see. Christian says you can never see my notifications. I don't know why, Christian. That's interesting. Uh, I'm live now though, so you're catching the real live. And thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in because we're going to be talking about the Jackson State spring game and to track some of these haters. Oh my God, JSU and Travis Hunter has a ton of haters, a whole lot of haters. We're going to talk about that and what I took away from the JSU spring game, the good, the bad, the ugly, right after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is up, everybody? What is up, everybody? My name is JeffLightsYJr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. So today I'm here to talk about Jackson State spring game, Travis Hunter, his performance, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That speaks for itself. JSU spring game, but really, I'm here to address a lot of the haters. The haters, hate. So many haters, so many haters. Oh my God, I didn't know it could be this bad. Like it like it is comical how bad some of these haters are. So let's jump right into it. So I'm going to share with you guys the tweet that I put out the day of the spring games. The spring game was on ESPNU, nationally televised, the first HBCU spring game on a nationally televised audience, broadcast in front of a nationally televised audience, Jackson State, spring game. But and everybody was tuned in because everybody and their mom, including myself, wanted to see what Travis Hunter was going to be able to do. Also wanted to see what Kevin Coleman was going to be able to do. Also wanted to see some of what this new look Jackson State offense was going to look like. It was so many question marks with Jackson State. We all wanted to tap in, and Travis Hunter put on a show. Like from the jump, he put on a show. He let us know he is here and he is not to be messed with. So I put out this tweet that said Travis Hunter did all of this in the first quarter of the Jackson State spring game. And you see it got 46,000 views. Shout out to you guys. Follow my Twitters right there on the screen at JLightsy7 on Twitter and Instagram. 46,000 views. Shout out to you guys, man. You guys did a really good job of sharing that stuff and really was really impressed. But what stood out from all of this attention that this video of Travis Hunter and what he was able to do in the first half was the comments like this one. High school at best, talking about his competition. You got it's JSU with the laughing face. You got, a bunch of he's leaving after 1 year. He'll never be at JSU for 4 years. You got that's what happens when you play lesser competition. He'll continue to do well, but the question will be, can he do it against elite competition? And over the overwhelming majority of the comments were positive. I love HBCUs. Travis Hunter, the kid is special. Travis Hunter is great. There was a nice amount, enough to catch my attention of haters. Everyone will see when he plays real talent. Can't wait till he plays real players and see how it is. He got most people were saying he's destined for greatness and all of this. And then there was just a bunch of haters, as I said. Now, here's the interesting thing about haters, right? See, facts don't care about feelings. That's one thing I learned a long time ago. Facts do not care about feelings. Chris McKay says they mad Travis living out his dream and playing with his idol and not living out the haters' dreams. Absolutely, Chris. And here's the thing: we're gonna dispel all of this hate, everything that these haters like to say about Travis, and just simply isn't true. So all of these guys, our people, crabs in the bucket. See, I will say Miss Shanita. Shout out to Miss Shanita because she's always listening in. I wouldn't, first of all, it wasn't most of our people. It was most of the other people. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to say it. Most of the other folks, the folks that don't attend HBCUs for the most part, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. It wasn't many skin folk. It was a bunch of other folk. So here's the thing. all of these folks love to say, oh, he's not going to get developed at JSU. He's going to dominate inferior competition. This, and that. JSU doesn't produce NFL draft picks. All of this, all of that. Here's the thing. First of all, talent, if you're talented, you're going to stand out no matter where you're at. Not saying Travis Hunter would have went to Alabama and did this at the spring game, but he would have went to Alabama and still been great. He would have went to Florida State and still been great. He could have went to Georgia and still been great. This man was the number one player in high school, like the number one recruit in the country, consensus across every recruiting ranking except one. ESPN had him at number 2, and then On 3 at the end of the recruiting cycle had him at number 8, which we're not even going to address that. We already talked about that. But Travis is a generational talent. Like, Travis is that good. He was a 5-star cornerback and a 5-star receiver in high school. And he missed a big chunk of his senior season and still was ranked as one of the best prospects in the entire country, one of the best prospects ever. We did that. We did a deep dive into that on this podcast earlier this year. So let's not even get into that. But what's interesting, all of these people are like, oh, you won't develop, and oh, it's not going to translate when you play against good talent. Oh, it's not going to be good for him and his ability to make it to the NFL. Well, first, let's not be silly. For one, he's being coached by the greatest cornerback in the history of corners, and he has talent. So most people could not to say he's going to be Deion Sanders. I'm not going to ever do that. I'm never going to put that on that young man. But he is talented enough to be a special player, not just at the college level. I think we're already seeing that. But he is talented enough to be a special player at the next level. And for those people that are saying he would have a better shot of being a great pro if he went to a big-time Power 5 program, where were those people? Where is that noise when you see these guys out of North Dakota State and out of these other programs go in the top 5, go in the top 3 of NFL drafts? And what in the hell makes you think that going to Alabama makes you think you're going to be a good NFL player? Nothing about going to Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Auburn, nowhere. None of these places, SEC, Georgia, whatever, guarantees you're going to be a good NFL player. His competition is bad, so that means he's going to be. How did that work out? How did the SWAT competition work out for Darius Leonard? How did that work out for Darius Leonard? How did it work out? We're not even going to go to the guys in the 90s, the Jerry Rices of the world, the Steve McNairs of the world, the Shannon Sharps of the world. We're not just going to talk about them. I'm going to give you recent examples, like Darius Leonard, like Terron Armstead. How did it work out for them? Titus Howard, first-round pick out of Alabama State. How did it work for him? Now, here's the thing. If going to Alabama or Georgia or Florida State guaranteed you a great NFL career, why are there so many busts out of Alabama? Why are there so many busts out of the SEC? You don't believe me? You don't believe that there's a ton of busts out of Power 5 programs? Well, let's take a look. See, I like to be fair. So I'm not going to use any rookies or second-year players, right? I'm not going to use any of those. I'm going to start with young men that were drafted starting in the 2019 draft. The first one, we're just going to look at the first round of the 2019 draft and start right there. Let's take a look at the first round of the 2019 draft, where most of those players went to Power 5 schools. Most of those players dominated at Power 5 schools. Most of those players were in the same position that Travis was in, and instead of choosing an HBCU, they chose the Power 5, and that's cool. And let's look at the hit rate. How many of those first-round picks actually panned out? I mean, they've been in the league 3 years, so I think it's fair to assess a player after 3 years, right? So that's the 2019 season. The 2020 season, COVID was weird, but they had a 2020 season and the 2021 season. That's 3 full seasons. So let's look at the players that were drafted in the first round of the 2019 draft. And you're going to see where I'm going with this. And you're going to see why all of the foolishness regarding Travis makes absolutely zero sense. So let's start here. 2019 draft. The first 3 picks were pretty good. Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams. Those are pretty good picks. Cleveland Farrell, a bust. He's a bust. That's one bust. Devin White's good. Daniel Jones, ACC. He went to North Carolina. That's a bust too. Josh Allen is decent. TJ Hawkinson's decent. Ed Oliver, Devin Bush has been hurt a lot. Jonah Williams is solid. Christian Wilkins, that's borderline bust. Dwayne Haskins, RIP, that was a bust. We're now up to 3. Dexter Lawrence, New York Giants, that was a bust. We're at 4. Jeffrey Simmons, he's pretty good. Darnell Savage, he's decent. Andre Dillard, 5. I think we're up to 5 busts. Josh Jacobs. Now, some people, if you're a Raiders fan like myself, some people will consider this a bust. Some folks will, so we'll leave it. That's a question mark. Marquise Brown is also a question mark. We're down to Mr. Tillery. It's decent. LJ Collier, that's a bust. DeAndre Baker, he got in some trouble. That's a bust. Caleb McGarry, I don't know. He might be decent. N'Keal Harry out of New England, that's a bust. We're at 8 busts in the first round of the 2019 draft. Out of those 8 guys, all of them went to Power 5 schools. Let's go to the 2018 draft. So we're talking about guys that have been in the league 4 years. 4 years. And this draft class, is rough. Baker, bust. Saquon, say what you want, bust. Sam Darnold, bust. First 3 picks, all went to Power 5, all bust. Denzel Ward just got paid. Bradley Chubb's missed a lot of games to injury. I don't want to call him a bust, but he's missed a lot of games. Nelson and Josh Allen, they're stellar. So is Roquan Smith. McClinchy, it's okay. Josh Allen, bust. So we're up to 4 busts. These guys are good. Darren Payne's good. Marcus Davenport, that's been a bust. We're up to 5. Colton Miller's solid. Tremaine Evans is solid. Derwin James hurt a lot. So is Leighton Vander Esch, 6 bust. He was good for like a season and a half. We're up to 6 bust. Isaiah Wynn hasn't been good. 7 bust. Hayden Hurst hasn't been good. 8 bust. Rashad Penny from Seattle, 9 bust. Taven Bryant, 10 bust. Mike Hughes, 11 bust. Sony Michel, 12 bust. So we're looking at 12 busts in the first round of the 2018 draft. So do you guys understand do you get where I'm coming from? Do you get what I'm saying? Just because you go to a Power 5 school does not guarantee that you're going to be a good NFL player. It does not guarantee talent and hard work is always going to rise to the top. The cream always rises. Let's go to the 2017 draft. So we're looking at guys who have either gotten a rookie extension or they got the rookie extension turned down. Let's look at this. Myles Garrett, the first 2 of the first 3 picks, 3 of the first 4 picks, bust. We got 3. Corey Davis, bust. Jamal Adams is solid. Christian McCaffrey's been hurt a lot. John Ross, top 10 picks. So 5 of the top 10 picks were bust. That's 50%, guys. Hassan Reddick, another bust. We're at 6. Malik Hooker, bust. We're at 7. Adoree Jackson, bust. We're at 8. O.J. Howard's on a different team. Don't want to call him a bust, but he's on a different team. You got Charles Harris, bust. We're at 9. Evan Ingram, bust. 10. Garen Conley, bust. 11. McKinley, bust. 12. Charleston, bust. 13. Njoku, bust. 14. Reuben Foster, bust. That's almost 50% of the first round after 5 years were bust. So all of this talking about going to Power 5 and what that means and how Travis made the worst decision of his life and womp. That's all I'm hearing. It's garbage. Like those are literally excuses. There's nothing. And here's the thing. Half the NFL's undrafted. As we just went through, at least 30 to 40% of the first round every year are bust. 30 to 40%. We just went through a draft that was almost 50%. So you mean to tell me that Jackson State is that bad of a place when the guys that are going to some of your favorite schools are getting to the league and aren't that good? Because here's the thing. When you go to those schools, see, everybody likes to talk about the inferior competition that is taking place in the SWAC and the inferior competition that's taking place in HBCU football and the inferior competition, and playing against high school players, playing against JV players, et cetera. But when you go to Alabama, your deficiencies are covered up. You can make mistakes, and those don't show up on film. You want to know why? Because you're playing with the best players in the country. So That is why half the first round are bust every year, because a lot of those guys go to schools where if they make a mistake, it's covered up by another first round pick. It's covered up by a guy who is actually really good. It's covered up by a guy who won't be a bust, a guy who might not make it to the first round, who might be a second, third, or fourth rounder, but is actually an NFL player, is actually a really good player, is actually the guy that is saving your bacon, the guy that's making you look good, the guy that's propelling you up into the draft. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you're playing with a whole bunch of the overwhelming amount of talent, your deficiencies aren't noticeable as much because you're playing with guys that are good. Why do you think back in the day, all those USC guys, a lot of them ended up being good, but they played with the best team and they were overwhelmingly better than everybody else? Travis at Jackson State, his deficiencies are going to show. And he's going to be able to learn from them. And his talent is going to show as well. If he messes up, his deficiencies are going to show. But when he stars, his talent is going to show. You can't deny the talent. You cannot deny the talent that is Travis Hunter. That's a fact. That is a fact. That is a freaking fact. the man, like, he went out there. Think about, like, you guys got to think about what Travis Hunter and Kevin Coleman was able to do at the JSU spring game. Now, granted, it was a spring game. It's a glorified practice. I don't want to hype it up too much, but 2 picks and the 2 touchdowns and a pick in the first quarter of anything is pretty impressive. To finish the game with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, one of those picks coming off QB1, is impressive for a guy who's supposed to be getting ready for prom right now. This man enrolled early. Him and Kevin Coleman are supposed to be getting ready for prom. This is prom season. These dudes are supposed to be in high school. They ain't supposed to be picking off QB1, the SWAC freshman of the year, the FCS freshman of the year. Travis Hunter's making plays on him when he's supposed to be getting ready for prom. Now, come on, like, can we at least admit, like, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty freaking impressive. Kevin Coleman running back kick returns. Kevin Coleman. Now, Travis made I think the most impressive catch, the first touchdown over number 25. Bless his heart. He was torching number 25. Made the most impressive catch with that Moss over 25. But Kevin Coleman made the second most impressive catch of the entire spring game. The post over the middle where he got drilled and still held onto the ball for a 30-yard completion. These 2 dudes are supposed to be in high school right now. And they're out here making plays for the defending SWAC champions, for the team that won the SWAC East, for the team that represented the SWAC in the Celebration Bowl. They're supposed to be getting ready for prom, and they're out there making plays on the first team. That is impressive. That is you call it whatever you want. That is impressive. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. Get the likes up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Now, as far as Jackson State, so now that I'm off my soliloquy, as far as the what took place, the Travis Hunter hate, I just had to bring up those draft classes to let you know it doesn't matter what school you go to, the cream always rises to the top. Half the first round picks are 30-40% of the first round picks in the NFL draft every single year are a bust. Call it what you want. They just, whether it's bad system, bad scheme, bad coaching, whatever, half of them are bust, 40% anyway. That is what it is. Now, addressing the JSU spring game. The spring game was good. I enjoyed it. There were a few things, though, that stood out. One, the access to Coach Prime and him being mic'd up, that was really, really cool. I really liked it. I enjoyed that aspect. I enjoy getting to hear what he had to say. I enjoyed being able to get in the fan questions from Instagram, the questions from the booth I thought were really good. Tiffany Green and Jay Walker, I think, always do an amazing job. The thing that I didn't like is that there was zero improvement on the offensive line. Call it what you want. There was zero improvement on the offensive line, the weakest part of the team last year. Now, there could be a couple of things to that. One, they do have a new offensive coordinator, so that matters. 2, they have at least 6 new offensive linemen on the roster. 6 new offensive linemen with the anticipation that they'll add 3 to 4. They just added one in Mr. Tyler Brown. Shout out to Tyler Brown. We'll be speaking with him tomorrow. Be sure to tune in on that. So Tyler Brown will be joining the JSU roster. They will be adding him. So that will help. But and someone says the first string O-line were hurt. Only 2 played. That makes me feel better. That does. That makes me feel better. I will say, though, there was zero improvement. If you can't block The guys that are supposed to be backups on defense, you're going to have a hard time blocking everybody else in the SWAC. That just is what it is. Because Shedeur Sanders is not the type of quarterback that you like. No quarterback wants pressure in their face, right? Like no quarterback is good for that. But Shedeur Sanders is a pocket passer. And so therefore being a pocket passer that can move, he's not a runner that's that can pass. He is a passer that, can maneuver the pocket. He's not really trying to escape the pocket too much. He's not really doing any design quarterback runs. It's not his style. He is best when he's standing straight up, able to observe the field, make his reads, and deliver the ball where it needs to be to those special players that they have on the outside. And that's one thing I like. I really, really like about this team. They have a plethora of weapons on the offensive side, and they're still adding. They added two more receivers. You got Quay Davis, Trevonte Rucker, Malachi Wideman, I don't even think played, Travis, Kevin Coleman, and you just added two more receivers, and obviously a bunch of guys that are looking to make some plays. Now the center, he wasn't very good. And somebody says the center is actually a guard. The real center was also hurt. I hope that is the case, because they could not get a snap to save their life. They could not get a good snap to save their lives. And that is going to be a problem. If you can't snap the ball, if you can't block anybody, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to win games in the SWAC, because just like JSU upgraded talent, everybody in the SWAC upgraded talent. Everybody in the SWAC is coming back better. Everybody in the SWAC, nobody in the SWAC is the same team in 2022 or will be in the fall of 2022 that they were in the fall of 2021. Let me repeat that. Nobody in the SWAC that played in the fall of 2021 will be the same team in 2022. That's just a fact. The transfer portal has allowed a lot of the SWAC schools to go out and get some big time talent. A lot of the SWAC schools have upgraded their recruiting prowess. A lot of the SWAC schools are going for blood, and JSU is the hunted. They were already the hunted even before they had ever won anything in the SWAC, simply because their coach is Deion Sanders. But now that they're SWAC East champs, now that they're the SWAC champions, now that they went to the Celebration Bowl, and now that their coach continues to let everybody know, like, hey, we'll see y'all in Atlanta. Yeah, everybody wants to make sure they're the team that stops them from going back to Atlanta, that they're the team that puts an L on JSU's record, that undefeated SWAC record that they had last year. They're the team that want to say, nah, that ain't happening this year. And it starts with FAMU down in Miami early September. Yes, the SWAC has leveled up. Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. And that is why that offensive line scares me. What also scares me? The freaking kicking game. The kicking game, like the two biggest problems JSU had last year, and the two biggest problems that Coach Prime said he was addressing this offseason were the two biggest problems in the SWAC game. In the spring game. Now, once again, this is just a spring game. This is a glorified practice. This is April. This ain't September or October or November. This is April, so I don't want to overreact. I don't want to stretch this. I don't want to go too crazy, but it was concerning. It was very concerning that the two biggest problems that JSU had last year, offensive line and kicking, are still the two biggest problems they have, at least as of spring 2022. I do believe that they will get that adjusted. I do believe that they'll be better come the fall. But I am interested to see how they are continuing to develop their team and how they are going to continue to get better. But boy, oh boy, do they have two dynamic weapons in Kevin Coleman and Travis Hunter that they did not have last year. JSU made some explosive plays last year, but I think Kevin Coleman and Travis Hunter, both on the offensive side, can blow the roof off of teams if they are able to protect their quarterback. We still don't know what the running back room looks like because Tyson Alexander didn't get any burn. I'm guessing he's still rehabbing, still getting right, just wasn't ready to play in that game. I'm interested to see how those running backs, the running game was null and void. The running game just wasn't there at all. Now, once again, does that mean that the SWAC, that the JSU defensive line is that tough? Like, are they that good? Because they have some really, really good players on the defensive side of the ball. Or is it just because JSU still can't run the ball? That is also going to be something to watch moving forward as we go into the fall of 2022. Whew, man. But I will say, having that game on ESPN, it was beautiful. Having that game broadcasted on a national televised platform was beautiful. It did a lot. It did a lot, not just for JSU. It did a lot for HBCU football in general, because once again, the more eyeballs get put on JSU, and the fact that the game being on ESPN2 did a couple of things. It highlighted not just JSU, it highlighted Travis in a way I believe he needed to be highlighted, because he got a lot of flack for choosing JSU. The Jackson State fans understand. Travis took a major gamble with his career going to JSU, not only from a standpoint of, people are going to have, haters are going to hate. They're going to say what they want about the competition at the SWAC level, the competition at Jackson State, but just, the level of backlash that you're going to get when you make a decision like that. Like, this young man, like I said, is supposed to be going to prom right now. This young man is supposed to be finishing finals or something at his high school. And instead, he chose to go to an HBCU knowing all of the criticism that he was going to take. It's one thing to criticize grown men in like the NFL or coaches or you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to criticize guys that get paid a whole bunch of money doing what they do as a profession. It's another thing to criticize a young man that's supposed to be in high school. Like that's different. Like, that is a different level of weirdo. You gotta like that's a different level of weirdo. Now, if he makes mistakes it's one thing to criticize his game, right? Like on the field product, but to criticize the young man as a man or as a young man, that's weirdo behavior. There's a lot of weirdos out there, guys. So just never forget that. But I think the young man, Travis, is going to be special. I think Kevin Coleman is going to be special. I think JSU has a chance to have a special year. They have a chance to have a special year. But there are some other SWAC teams that also have chances to have special years and that would love to play spoiler to any and everything that Jackson State hopes to have planned this year. They hope to be back in Atlanta. They kind of pretty much guaranteed that they'll be back in Atlanta going against the champion of the MEAC, which is looking like South Carolina State, which they look really impressive as well. But we'll have to wait and see. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's see. Someone says, I don't see how the competition level is low for Travis when JSU has 3-4-star receivers. And he's getting and it's not just about that. Like, there's been SWAC players of recently that go to the NFL and dominate. The FCS, they put players, other schools across the FCS put players in high level, out of programs that aren't even that high level talent. Cream always rises to the top, whether you play at Jackson State, Alabama, Georgia, whatever. That's my thing. But that was mainly just salty Florida State fans. It is what it is. And yes, the transfer portal is going to be, they like what Coach Prime, what did he say? They live in the portal. They built their house in the portal. They are going to be portaling after that spring game, because here's the thing, not only did some of their units on the team look unimpressive to him as a coach, it looked unimpressive to us as fans. And he understands that the product that you put out on the field matters. Like, it's good winning games is the number one thing, but also winning games in prime fashion matters to him. If it don't, just look at his career. If you think I'm lying, look at his career. Look at his life. Everything that Deion Sanders does looks a certain kind of way. It has a certain kind of feel, right? And right now, his team, at least the team that we saw on the screen on ESPN2, by the way, nationally broadcast, by the way, didn't look like a Deion Sanders team, or look like the team that he wants to broadcast to the world, that he wants to put onto the field come September of 2022. This team will look totally different, I believe, in the next 5 months. I guess we got to wait and see. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, my name is JeffLightsYJr with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel right there, YouTube/JeffLightsYJr. Also, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I post all my content there on Twitter and Instagram at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace. God bless.